Okay, let's work on that reverse roll. The first thing you're going to do is try to sit on your heel. Right here, sitting on this heel. Then we're going to turn our shoulders and our head a little bit to the left. If my right knee is bent, my left leg is out and extended, that means it's going to go over my right shoulder. So I'm going to turn my head, get my legs ready to go over, and then I'm just going to push off this leg and throw over and roll. From here, I look up really quick, my hands come up, and I stand, ending in a fighting stance. Alright, let's walk through that reverse roll. The first thing you're going to do is put one leg out and sit down on that heel. This is right here. Now we're going to turn our head to the side and throw both legs over this shoulder. We're going to push off of this leg right here. Help give us a little more momentum, pushing over. Our hands can stay tucked and our eyes stay forward. Right there. Now our hands come up and we go into a fighting stance. Now what's important to note is that when you go down into that reverse roll, again, like I said, my eyes are forward. My eyes are going to be forward the entire time. There's only a split part of a second that my eyes aren't going to be forward, right here. Just that part right there. I want to keep my eyes forward. My hands come up in my fighting stance. Okay, let's go over that reverse roll once again. Start off, one leg slides out, just like this. It's not important for you to trip yourself, although it can be useful to step back and sit onto this leg. That's only used if you wanted to use your leg as a cushion. Otherwise, always put one leg forward. As you do that, you sit straight onto that heel. From here, you're going to turn your head to the side to prepare to have these legs go over that shoulder. We're going to push off with this leg that's already touching the ground, and we're going to have our hands up and our eyes are going to be forward. Notice that my hands come up immediately. From here, I stand into my fighting stance. Also note that when you're doing that reverse roll, I come down here, I can sometimes, if I want, I can grab onto this knee to help pull myself over or stay into that tuck. Right there. Then my hands come up. The reason that it's important for you to sit on your heel when you're doing that reverse roll is so that you don't slam your rear onto the ground. If I'm going to fall back from here, I have a distance between here and here where I'm going to land. So I could go there and roll, but that hurts. So it's much better to try to sit on that heel. This way, when you land on the ground, you're not smacking on the ground. What you're doing is going smoothly into that roll. Alright, now we're going to work on the reverse roll. We're going to break it down so that you can see it a little easier. First thing he's going to do, we're going to turn him this way, he's going to do that sit on the heel. So he tries to sit on the heel. Right there. Now stand up. We'll do it more towards the camera. Okay, now he's going to try to sit on the heel. Right there. And you'll notice that when he sits on the heel, his rear end is not smacking really hard to the ground. Now if he was to stand up and his heel is here, but he wasn't to sit on the heel and instead he was to sit right here where my foot is, try to sit down here, he slams onto the ground with his rear. That's going to hurt, especially if it's on concrete. So it's important that when you're doing that reverse roll that you sit on that heel or try to sit on the heel. It's almost impossible. It'll allow you to go into a smooth roll. So first thing he does is sit on the heel, brings him close, now he's ready to do that roll. One leg is out and his hands are still up and his eyes are facing forward. Now he's going to turn his head to the side. That allows the other leg to go over the shoulder. If he doesn't turn his head to the side, he's going to roll over his head or on his head. So he's got to turn his head to the side to get it out of the way. Now he's going to push off this front leg here that's on the ground, the one that's touching the ground with this flat of his foot. He's going to push off to give himself a little momentum into that roll. Now here he's going to stay tucked, and as he comes up, he has to make sure that those hands are up to protect his face. And from here, he stands straight up into a fighting stance. Now he's ready. It's important when you're doing that roll that you go from the shoulder to the hip, or from the hip to the shoulder at a diagonal. You'll notice the dirt line here. When you do a roll, you're going to get a slight dirt line there. Whether you're doing a forward roll or reverse roll, it's going to be the same. You want to cross that diagonal. You do not want to roll on the spine. It's important that you stay from shoulder to hip or hip to shoulder. Alright, let's work through that reverse roll once again. First, he goes down onto the heel, tries to sit on his heel. From this point, he's going to push off with this leg here, keep his hands up, his eyes are going to stay forward. He's going to turn his head to the side so his legs can come across this shoulder, and he's going to do that reverse roll. Go. From here, notice the hands come up, then you stand. So hands protecting first, then you stand up, ending in a fighting stance. When you're doing that reverse roll, you can either roll in a tuck or you can keep that leg extended. When you're down, you're sitting on that heel, and this leg is extended, and I reverse roll. Most people keep this leg extended when they do a reverse roll. Don't really know why that would be applicable, but if you can come up with a good explanation for keeping that leg extended, we'd like to know. Otherwise, I want you to stay tucked. So we're going to tuck this leg. If I keep it extended and I try to roll under something, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to hit it. It's going to stop my flow. So it's important that I tuck. So I come down and I just tuck under. Once again, when you're doing that reverse roll and you're down, if you leave that leg extended, it's going to hit. If you tuck it, when you roll over, right here, just pull yourself into a ball and tuck under. Okay, this is a great exercise to do for practicing your reverse rolls and your forward rolls. It's called a half roll. What we're going to do is start off in a sitting position, and we're going to pick a shoulder to roll on, let's say my right shoulder, so I'll turn my head to the left, and I'm going to take both my legs, just like in a reverse roll, and I'm just going to throw them over. Only one leg is not going to be forward. They're just going to tuck straight back into that roll. I want to stop halfway through, right here. Actually, I'll really stay on the ground at that level. And I'm going to go right back into a forward roll and back into my seating position. So I'm going to reverse roll halfway and then back forward. This allows you to practice rolling over your shoulder and then down to your hip, staying off of your spine. Make sure that at home you practice this technique on your right shoulder and your left shoulder. All you have to do is turn your head to one side or the other side. One of the things I want to point out is that it's okay for you to practice in the outdoors every now and again. I know when you're first starting off you're going to want a nice soft mat, but it's much better to get out in the outdoors and practice all of your techniques in a real environment. Okay, now that you've learned how to do your reverse roll, you also need to have a good number of applications, especially if you're going to test. You have to have at least 3 applications. Now, a few of those applications are basic. Some of them you're going to have to come up on your own. So if we're thinking about a reverse roll, what application could I use, or in what situation could I use a reverse roll? Some examples might be if you were to get pushed and knocked back, you could step back, drop into reverse roll. You might want to reverse roll and hide behind an object like a rock or a tree, or even just to keep your center of gravity really low. You could use a reverse roll to pick up something off the ground like dirt or sand, or to retrieve an object. You can use a reverse roll if you were to be swept, like off of one leg, and then you had to drop down, hit the ground into a reverse roll. Or, for example, against a wrist takedown, and you defend by going into reverse roll. We're going to show you a few of these, practice them at home, and try to get a partner to help you out with the ones that are more advanced. One of those applications that you can do for reverse roll is to pick up something off of the ground. So you start off on the ground right here, and you're going into reverse roll. You want your hands just to come right to the ground right here, and you want to grab up the dirt or the grass as you roll. And you have it in your hands so that you can throw it. Now it's important that you grab that dirt and ground when you first hit the ground. Like this. If you grab it when you first go down, your opponent isn't going to see it. For example, if I'm going to look at you and I drop to the ground here, I'll grab the dirt and grass here. Then I'll roll over and I'll be like this. So if I have dirt in my hands, it's going to be hard for you to see. However, if I do it the other way, which is like this, where I drop, my hands are here, I roll, and then I grab dirt and come up, you're going to see this motion of me grabbing the dirt. So it's going to be more likely for you to know that I have it. And it's not going to be a surprise. So when I'm doing it, I want to roll and have that stuff already in my hands. Another application for that reverse roll is to lower your center of gravity and roll behind an object. For example, this tree. Start off here, drop my roll, I'm back, I stay low, and I'm hidden behind this tree. Another application for that reverse roll would be if you're being forced back or down, and you just go with the flow by doing a reverse roll. For example, against a push. Okay, you can also use that reverse roll against the sweep or a wrist takedown. The reverse roll comes in handy anytime you're knocked to the ground or forced back, or even if you were just to be stepping back and you trip on something. Practice a few of these at home and come up with some of your own ideas for applying a reverse roll.